My name's Louise King. Some of you might know me and some of you do not yet, and that's okay. The whole purpose of today is to just talk briefly through the class program. So thank you for signing up for this info session. Can you put your thumb in the air if you can hear me okay? Fantastic. Thank you very much. And what we're going to do is we're going to go round the Zoom room. And what I'd love you to do is just quickly introduce yourself if you're feeling comfortable enough just to say who you are, where you're zooming in from, and what you're interested in about the class. Well, I just introduce a few more people into the room. Maybe we could start with Gabrielle. Is it Gabrielle or Gabriel? And I'll just have to unmute you. You can also unmute yourself. Can you see if you can unmute yourself? There it is. Yes.
Oh, I am,
Tell us a
yes.
little bit about you.
Um, I live at Udlow. I was a music teacher for many, many years. I've retired. I play piano and flute. I did play the cello for about 2 years, many years ago. And I just saw this come up and I thought, maybe I should go back and have another try.
Well, that's fantastic, Gabrielle. You're the closest person I would ever teach, being UDLO based myself. So that's great.
Yes.
I have a lot of people, obviously, who don't live in the community. So welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you don't mind muting, and we'll go to Wendy, who's actually got her mic open. Hi.
Hi
Tell us
there.
a little bit about you.
Hi. Well, I'm Wendy. I was a midwife for many years, and I retired several years ago now. Took early retirement, and I'd never played a musical instrument in my life until I picked up the cello. Nothing like starting with it. Let's start with something really difficult. But I love it, and I love the sound that it makes when I get it right occasionally. But I've had
Yeah.
two teachers, well, three
Right.
actually, because my first teacher had maternity leave. I don't think I drove her to having another baby, but I may have done. Um, and then I had a few lessons with Ed LeBrock,
Yeah.
and then I've been having some lessons with another lady,
Yeah.
and
Great.
and I'm hoping to go back to Astra earlier in the year, but
Yes. I
I've
know both Astra and Ed. In fact, Ed LeBrock and I were in the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra together for about
yeah,
6 years before, I suppose, when Ed was Emma.
yes,
So I've known Ed for over 20 years now. So
yeah.
it's always wonderful to see these threads and connections happen. Thank you, Wendy. We'll put you on to mute and we'll invite Suze to talk. Just introduce yourself very briefly. Hi, Suze.
Hi, I'm Suze. I've been with Louise for probably 6 months now, just coming up to 6 months. No music experience, love the cello, loving the journey, loving the challenge, and just wanted to be a part of this again. So I just wanted to hear what everybody had to say, and also to Louise, just see where I fit in for next year, what's appropriate that you would recommend that I sign up for, given
Absolutely.
my what I've been doing.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, there's three streams for adults. There's the beginner stream, there's the intermediate, and the advanced. So I'll talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that. But thanks, Suze. We'll just put you on to mute. Now, there's three who have yet to be brave enough to open the video. They might be doing other things, and that tends to happen on a Zoom info session. But I'd just invite Christina or Kelly or Leon, if they would like to just join the conversation and just briefly introduce yourself, you're welcome to. I'll just give you a moment of space to do that. No. And that's what I call some lurkers.
Sorry.
And it's great to be here. Oh, no, we've got someone who's brave enough to do that. Hello, Christina.
Hello. Sorry, I was just looking for the unmute button.
Yes, it does take a while if you're not used to this platform.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you. Do you know how to use the video? Would you be willing to
Yes,
just be
I do,
seen?
but I'm a little bit shy. So
Ah,
introducing myself at the moment is the big step.
okay, go for it. Tell us a little bit
Um,
about you, Christina.
yeah, I'm a secondary school teacher.
Yeah.
I've always loved the sound of the cello, like it's a very emotive instrument.
Yeah,
Um,
good
but
word.
it's always
Yeah.
been kind of it's felt like that's like a little bit out of reach. But
Mm,
I guess I love the process of learning, and I've kind of reached the point where
mm.
I'm like, why not just learn?
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for being brave enough, and that's a big step already to just introduce yourself to these new people, particularly in this format. So thank you, Christina. You can go on to mute now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go and share my screen. Sorry, I've actually poked myself in the frenzy of trying to get myself organized. I've poked myself in the eye. It's very bleary, but I'm hopefully going to be able to read my screen. So what we're going to do is, Wendy, could you please mute as well? So that's great. Otherwise, once I share my screen, what will happen is, we get lots of background sounds happening. So I'm now going to talk you through, I'm going to share my screen, the program. Once I get it all happening. Give me a moment. Now, here we are. So this is really about introducing you in a very broad view of what this program is all about. This is a very innovative program in terms of, I'm finding, particularly with my string teaching colleagues, there are very few people who are brave enough to kind of really, I suppose, present programs exclusively for adult learners. And yet, in actual fact, adult learners are the biggest market currently for us in string teaching. I recently spoke at the String Teaching Conference in Sydney. It was the 50th year for Australian String Teachers Association. And it was remarkable just how few teachers had experience or potentially support for teaching adult students. And I've been specializing in adult learning for over 20 years now. Now, just looking at this slide, the top 5 challenges, you might instantly notice there's maybe one of those where you go, oh yeah, I really resonate with that. But these are what I've found in my research, the challenges facing all adult learners, and really in many ways, all kind of people beyond the age of 14. It's very easy to teach young people because parents bring them to the lesson and they generally act as an amazing support for teachers in order to really get things happening. So what I'd like you to do right now, an action for you, is to write down maybe one of those challenges that you might like to speak to the rest of the group at the end of this little info session. And I'd like to just deepen that a little bit at the end in our Q&A. So it could be lack of support. It could be boredom. I find that a lot of people don't stick with a consistent program and they feel that they're going to sound like Yo-Yo Ma or an amazing YouTube artist pretty soon. And actually what that is to do with is unrealistic expectations. And of course, this is what this program is designed to do. So the solutions I've come up with over the last 20 years of experimentation has been these 5 key areas. I think it's very important that we create a safe and supportive community. And I find that particularly women, particularly female identifying students really enjoy the idea of a community, building a community around their work. They like connecting with a buddy in their class cohort. They might even kind of connect beyond the classes once a month and actually practice together. So there's often friendships that are formed, which I think is a very motivating tool for a lot of adult students. It also creates that accountability piece, which we often need as adults when we're starting something new and creating a new habit. So I like to focus on achievable short-term goals. And very importantly, because all of you come with a very different, rich background of either listening to music or even music training before, I cover in a 10-month class different modules, different repertoire tailored to different students. And already from probably class 2, we're already into 2 or 3 or 4 parts, depending on the level. And that's what particularly the beginner stream can be all about. So the key benefits really are all about trying to blend a little bit of artistry, your own creativity, with also learning how to play in an ensemble or small group. This is very different to one-on-one lessons. And it's something that I find a lot of adults don't have the opportunity to grow in. Particularly because unless you are lucky enough to have a community orchestra, which kind of serves as a kind of pathway, a feeding group into a larger orchestra, most adults don't manage to kind of play into an ensemble early on. Most community orchestras, particularly around Australia, are kind of focused on grade 6 level cello repertoire and above. And that's incredibly out of reach for most adult students, particularly for the first 5 years of learning. Even if you can read music well, you need your body to be trained with the technical requirements needed to play that music, plus, of course, music literacy. So there's a lot to do in that first early kind of stage. So I suppose the key benefits are really about building your cello tribe and finding a welcoming community that you feel you can grow in and also be accountable within. So the program is in monthly group classes. I've also started 2 years ago a Facebook private group, which is where people can share ideas, access teacher-led videos, and also build connections beyond the classes. Not everyone, of course, is in Facebook, and there is the opportunity for me to share those videos with you directly in a Google Drive, for example, if you don't want to be part of the actual Facebook group. Now, this has to be updated. There's a new location this year, which is not Peregrine. We're going to Cooroy. So we've got Brisbane, Cooroy, and Palmwoods this year. The classes run monthly, February to November, and there's always that wonderful Christmas concert, which in fact Suze was part of. She might like to talk to the group soon about what she found, how she found that experience. So why do I do this? Because I believe we can serve all ages, and it's very important that we are not just restricting music education to under 18. So this is the year timeline. You can see that I organize it in 3-month blocks, February, March, April. We're going to be focusing on just getting established. And all of these 6 elements we will be covering in February, March, April curriculum. And mostly I love connecting Baroque music, very kind of folk music-based, dance movement-based to each other. I think that's a really nice blend. May, June, and July, we'll be moving into the more romantic era, meaning kind of music like Elgar, it could be Beethoven, it could be more the classics in that way, but also contrasting that with some contemporary pop music, things that people might know and very importantly recognize by ear. That can really help motivate us learn. Third module, August, September, October, is all about classical era. Think Mozart and living composers. It could be an Australian living composer or someone I know personally who might write something for the group. It could be also someone who's writing music, who's a pop contemporary artist as well. Now, November is where we really focus on wrapping up what we've learnt in those first 3 key modules. And we also bring in Christmas music. So starting to learn a couple of very well-known Christmas songs, such as Jingle Bells, or it could be The First Noel. And I really do think a democratic approach works well, particularly with adults. You know what you like to learn and what you've really felt comfortable with. So there'll be a group top picks in that November session. And in December, that's when there's an optional end-of-year class showcase, a Christmas concert, and I hold those in Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. So I talk a lot about values, really, for this class and the culture I like to support. It's very important that we all feel nurtured, and it's inspiring and, very importantly, collaborative. It's very difficult, as you can imagine, to get everybody to be on the same page, literally. And that's why I create multi-level parts from literally month 1. So if you might be an established beginner and can read music well, you might already be in first position, for example. You might already be playing melody-based, simple, in 1 octave, 8-note kind of area, or a register, say D major. And then other people will be playing very simple D and A strings, as an example, with a simple rhythmic motive and pattern to go with that. So the class culture really values, I think, a very inclusive and respectful learning environment. It's important that we kind of build team spirit. And I think it's important that we also think a little bit about community stewardship. We have to be mindful that we can be punctual, we can prepare, and we can also have a positive attitude, particularly helping others in a class experience. It's not just about you, it's about the team. So let's be mindful of how we can impact the group as we go forward. The commitment is all about your own learning growth and really trying to be as artistic as we can in those classes. Remember, it's only 10 hours of my time over the year. Now, I don't know if you can hear that. If someone can just unmute, I'm just going to... These are examples of classes. Can you hear that? This one is really feeling the last semiquaver of each group of 4. If someone can unmute and tell me if you can hear that, that'd be great. Kind of feeling that part 4 locked in with you. So your colleagues will be playing.
I can't actually hear it.
Okay, that's okay. So I was just asking to see if that's fine. So these are kind of examples of the homework challenge videos that I have in the Facebook group. And I basically will do a learn your part between each month. Okay, so the community praise, of course, this isn't just an adult program. You guys are obviously adults at the moment on the Zoom call, which is why I'm bespoking what I'm talking about. But of course, we do run youth program, and that would be for beginners, intermediate, and advanced excellence program too. So how to get the most out of your experience? I think obviously come prepared. Might be surprised how many people have actually turned up without a cello. This is definitely a BYO class, meaning bring your own instrument. It is also run in community spaces. You need a foldable music stand. You also might want to print off the music that I provide. I do provide all the music via Google Drive, but you might want to print it off. You might be someone who really prefers printed copies. Some people are on iPads. So we have a hybrid mix in our classes with both of those methods of learning. 2, engage with your cohort. Don't just rely on me to build a connection. Just be brave, speak to others, share your insights, and try and support each other. I really encourage buddies. I can't force relationships to happen, but I think the more open you are, the more engaged and connected you are, the more you're going to build your accountability circle and hopefully find a really fun practice buddy to partner up with. Practice and resources. Obviously, you all know the more regularly and consistently you do something, the better you're going to be. So you do need to dedicate time between sessions to prioritize the material. And of course, I provide support with even just a simple 1-page mud map of what you can actually tackle and go for in terms of homework challenges between classes. The positive attitude mindset is key, is very important to talk about. I find most adults are very hard-hitting and very uncomfortable about being a beginner. You have to realize there is no such thing as falling behind in this program. If you turn up, fantastic. Adult learners often worry about what the growth might look like. Online community, it is recommended, but not mandatory to be part of the program. And it is that online space designed to inspire, inform, and connect. If you guys are already part of the Facebook group, you might have already seen some of my faculty for the Cello Dreaming Retreat coming up this week. My guest faculty are already putting up videos. So it's not just necessarily me. It can be different ways of engaging with different cellists around the country as we go through. Okay, so remember, that Facebook group is voluntary. There are privacy settings, which we will talk about as you kind of roll in. It's very important that we respect online privacy. We also have a WhatsApp group, which has been initiated by members, and that is also available as an additional way to connect if you want to be part of that. And as I said, videos are the simplest way for me to share large video files to go up onto Facebook. This is a little bit about me, and just so you know, I will be sharing this handbook with your email once we've kind of got this recording out the way. Now, these are things I often get asked, frequently asked questions, and I'm sure you've got a few questions in a moment. But if you're unable to attend a class, your spot will not be refunded or rescheduled because that class is running. However, you might want to choose or attend a class at another alternative location. And please bear in mind that I always provide all of the homework videos on Facebook groups. So even if you can't miss one due to illness, jump on to a video and you're basically going to be learning in real time with me, even though it's a pre-recorded session. You just won't have the group cohort. And no missed class can be substituted with private lessons or additional sessions. If you want to book in for lessons, that is a separate booking. And I really want to try and complement traditional one-to-one lessons. A lot of people wonder if I need to be exclusively working with me. No, you can already hear that people will work with many teachers across their program. And I have some wonderful colleagues and a network of teachers who recommend my program because I'm not in competition with them to have their one-to-one lessons with them. So what I want to encourage you to do is think about staying with your current pedagogue and just maybe enrich your program with this. And of course, it's always wonderful to see people one-to-one because you can really deepen the learning. If you miss a session, I encourage you to stay connected, engage with the program, and very importantly, connect with the team and the cohort you have. Online resources are totally available throughout the entire year, particularly for people who book 5, 8, or 10 classes. And once the program has finished in November, I shut that off, and then we go into the next enrollment for the following year. And each class does have a Q&A moment. So bring your questions, which we're about to go into. This is a little class motto I've put together. Forward momentum, people, progress, and not perfection. I think that's very, very important. Okay, so we're into the Q&A session now, and I'm just going to kind of come out of my sharing. And now we should be able to go into any Q&As. So fire away, people. What did I not cover for you?
So can I start? I don't have a cello, so what would you recommend? We're sometimes in Brisbane, sometimes up at Udlow.
Yeah, great. So what I would really like to do is try and encourage us now to be in a group situation. So Suze has just gone through that process. Suze, can you talk to Gabriel about your cello process and how you managed to acquire yours?
Okay, so first of all, I dropped into a music shop, which happened to be the Nambour one, because mine was one of those very quick decisions where I'd wanted to do this for years and suddenly thought, let's go do it. So I went and hired a cello. It was a reasonable cello that I hired. And then after I hired that for 6 months, because that allowed me the time then to decide if this was what I wanted to do, if I had the time, if I had realistic expectations, and if it was something that I could stick with. By month 3, I realised it was, but I still had 3 months left on my rental, so I stayed with the rental cello. Then I went down to Brisbane, Simply Strings, had a couple of hours with them down there, and they fitted me with a suitable new cello that I purchased. With new strings.
Which you're very happy with, and it sounds gorgeous, doesn't it, Suze?
Very happy with.
I think she's basically fallen in love with her cello, am I right?
Oh, yes.
So it's a long process, and I actually do have an article with frequently asked questions about cellos. So I'll also include that in the wrap-up for the Zoom info session. So if you don't have a cello, yes, you're going to need one, but you can rent. But you can also find at this time of year some good quality student package cellos on even Facebook Marketplace. You'll be surprised who is actually upgrading or selling or even stopping. So have a little look online for a cello. Yeah, you're definitely going to need a cello.
Are there any brands that you should keep clear of?
At this stage, it doesn't matter.
All right.
You just need to make sure it's got 4 strings, a bridge. And if you're worried about it, you can also book into me so I can check it in. So I do a meet and greet for 30 minutes. So you can bring your instrument to me. You're in Udlow. Yeah. So you can just literally pop it in. I can check it over. And then you can go from there. But it's very possible to find a full-size cello, a basic student package with bow, case, and everything for under $1,000 in a private marketplace situation. Okay. Now, remember, it's not as cheap as a guitar. A beginner guitar is very cheap, but a cello does require a little bit of maintenance, and just make sure you have the budget for that.
Yes.
So did that answer your question? I'll send you further information, and probably rent to just start your way in. Particularly if it's something
that
new.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Yes,
and all the good shops do have good rental packages, including local shops here. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good.
Any other questions?
I have one, Louise.
Yeah,
having jumped in July last year and having done 5 months, and you know where I'm at, where do you see the demarcation between somebody being part of the beginners, the
Yeah.
intermediate, and the more experienced. I mean, obviously, clearly I'm not experienced, but some people on the call could be, to see where they fit into your workshops.
Yeah, I'll explain that really clearly. So I've started a new program called the Starter Class, which is for total newbies who've never played this instrument before this year. Then there's the beginner stream, which will go from beginner established through to grade 2 Amy B level, or that would be Suzuki Book 3. Now, I know what that level looks like being a cello examiner. If you don't know what that looks like, I need to have a conversation with you. And obviously, with a pedagogue, a teacher will be able to determine your level. So the beginner class can be misleading in terms of you think is everyone going to be at the same level. But remember me mentioning in the info session, talking about how I already have multi-parts. Suze, you can talk to that. Remember, you've actually come in halfway through the program, you played open strings. And then, for example, Judy has been playing melody-based work. So that kind of two-part work will continue through the beginner stream. And until people are at grade 2 level, which generally for an adult, it might take up to 3 or 4 years of playing consistently to get to that level, particularly with note reading and theory, ensemble skills. And until that really feels solid, we don't move into intermediate. Now, the intermediate class is basically grade 3 level cello to grade 6 level cello. So it's that really nice big wodge of humans that generally kind of very excited about music. I often find there's string teachers here who are looking for PD on lower strings. It might be people who are singing in a choir who've taken up the cello later on. But generally speaking, there are people who can read music pretty proficiently, can read 2 clefs, and that would mean treble as well as bass clef. And even in the intermediate class, we might need to read tenor clef. So this is where the theory aspect comes into play. And in the intermediate class, generally they're working in either 2, 3, or 4 parts, cello quartets, and some really exciting, challenging repertoire in that group. The advanced classes would be from grade 6, possibly grade 7, all the way through to professional level, string teachers included, or music students who are looking for a different way of engaging. And again, that would be 3, 4, or even 5, or even 6 parts, depending on how many in the cohort. So in terms of levels, I know the level of the music because I've written the program and I've obviously selected the music. So if you're in doubt, phone me, communicate with me, and then we can actually work out where best to suit you. But Suze, you'd be in the beginner stream for at least another year. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Absolutely, that's what I thought.
Yeah, great. And we also want to build a really comfortable group of people in a class situation where you can actually connect with your cohort and meet people beyond the classes. So, you know, the more you're in a kind of stream and the more regularly you attend those classes, the more likely you're going to meet people, connect for a cup of tea, bit of a practice between the sessions, which really consolidates the music. And any other questions? You've got 2 minutes left, ladies.
I have another question. If
Yeah.
it's been so long since I've even handled a cello, would I, if you start at the very beginning and then
Yes.
maybe in 6 months you're sort of like, okay, I think I can move ahead now. Do you
Yep.
stay in the beginner for the whole year, or do you get moved
So
along,
you would be in
or
the starter stream. Yeah. And of course, you'd be in the starter class, even if you
yes,
have prior musical experience.
sure.
And then what will happen is 6 months, we get a bit of a review, and I talk to individuals in the class and we see where they're at. And if there is an exceptional adult, maybe it's you who actually is really getting into
No, I
the
don't
swing
think
of
so.
it, and they go, actually, you know what, I need more of a challenge, then we can absolutely move you up. But I actually find with adults, it's often moving down. And
Yeah.
that's because we often start with huge expectations. We are getting very inspired. We really like the idea of it. And then curveballs of life comes in. Lack of time for practice and lack of consistency are the two things that I often find.
And probably the
So
body not
yeah,
handling it either.
absolutely, because there's 4 things we need to train.
Mm.
And my philosophy is to train the ear, the body, the brain, and the heart. And we've come to the end of our Zoom, but write those 4 things down. And your last activity for yourself to think about is, how do you learn music? Are you an ear-based learner? Are you a body learner? Are you actually someone who's very cerebral and need to analyze things and have to really think through things, very method-based? Or actually, are you more someone who's very much in music, more in a spiritual, emotional connection? I often find that adults will be very strongly in one place. And my job over particularly the first year of classes is to try and broaden that a little bit so we can have a nice holistic approach.
Lovely.
But I'm going to finish now. And is there anything desperately burning? Otherwise, you can obviously hit me up with an email or a question, and I'll send on, as I promised, more information about how to get a cello. You need to register. There's a sign-in form. There's an online form. If you haven't done that, please do. And obviously, early bird class bundles finish on the 1st of February. That does not mean you can't be part of the program. It just means that particular early bird deal has closed. So jump on, take advantage of that. And yeah, book in for meet and greet if you do have an issue with a cello or just need some further information. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure. Expect an email with more information. And thank you for joining me
Thank
tonight.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.